Denise, I'm right. Anyway, my
No,
point
you're
is
not
this.
right.
I am right.
No, you're not.
100%. I know I'm right.
I think you're wrong.
Okay, great.
Good.
I'm right. My point is this.
No, you're not.
We were all speaking about these things.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 13, Episode 10. And before we get into it, let me just give you guys the biggest apology. I know that I'm super late with this recap, but please forgive me because when I tell y'all, I don't know what happened, but The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, that finale altered something in my brain chemistry because I have been unable to focus on any other show except for that. Like, I had to rewatch that another 3 times, and honestly, y'all, every other show right now pales in comparison. But I just want to say thank you all for your patience. I love y'all. But we're here, and I am ready to talk about Beverly Hills. It was a cute episode. The biggest moment for me was the conversation between Dorit and Garcelle. I have a lot to say about that. And I want to address the social media vitriol towards Garcelle because I don't like that. I think that Garcelle has the right to express herself and how she feels, especially with her being a Black woman. And I personally believe that Dorit's microaggressions were the straw that broke the camel's back, and she just went off. But y'all, let me not jump ahead. Let's just get on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode right where we left it off in the last episode with Denise, Richards, and Erika going back and forth. Erika has just cleared the entire room because she asked, who makes more money on OnlyFans, you or your daughter, Sammy? Baby, when I tell you that the room was silent, Denise was gagged. So Denise is like, you're unbelievable. You know that? Now, I just said, Denise, you know that Erika does not care. She takes no prisoners in an argument. So I don't know why you're acting so shocked that she went there. I mean, this is just another Tuesday for Erika Girardi, or Erika Jane, whatever she calls herself now. But I just said, I don't know why you're acting so shocked and appalled. This is who Erika is. So Erika's like, girl, I know. The way I was screaming when Denise was like, and then Erika was like, And Denise, I love you down. But Miss Mamas, just give it up. You're not going to win this battle. You lost. You're 0 for 2. I would quit while I was ahead. Now, did anybody notice that at this point, all of Crystal's other friends were in the next room? They were probably like, you know what? We didn't sign up for all this. We'll just be right here in the kitchen. But anyhow, the room is still silent. It's really awkward, super tense. Kyle makes a joke in her confessional saying that apparently Lent is over because Erika is back to her old ways. Now, just like I stated a few minutes ago, I don't know why you guys are acting so surprised at Erika. So now Garcelle jumps in and she says, Denise, what exactly do you want to hear from Erika? What exactly is the problem? I have to be so honest. I was so done with this argument because Denise is going around and around and around saying the same thing. So Erika says, girl, it was never about your children. Do you remember your barbecue 4 years ago when we were all talking about threesomes and sex? So now Denise jumps in and she says, well, we weren't all talking about it. And Erika says, girl, we all were. You made a joke about how big your husband's penis was at the barbecue. So now you have Denise denying that. And now Sutton says in her confessional that Denise is lying because she was at the barbecue and she remembers that Denise did make a joke about her husband's big penis. And Bravo is going to always bring out the receipts and play the footage because they play the clip of the barbecue. And we do see Denise joking around saying that her husband has a big dick and big muscles.
I was at that party, people. I was there.
He still has a big penis and big muscles, so it's all good.
Denise, you got some splaining to do.
The fact that you started this fight with Erika twice now, and not only did she eat you up and pack you up, but the fact that you forgot what you said 4 years ago, The same way you were saying at Kyle's dinner party, you guys need to watch the show, you know what you did. Well, baby, you need a refresher too, because obviously you forgot what you said in that conversation. You were talking about sex as well. And Denise, I love you, sis, but you need to drop this. You're not making any sense and you keep taking L's. Just let it go. So now Erika brings up how she was irritated at the fact that they were all talking about sex, but Denise singled her out and nobody else. So now Bravo shows the flashback of when Denise and Erika went out for coffee the next day after that barbecue happened, and Erika did apologize for her nasty mouth. Denise completely lost me at this point when she went on to say, well, that didn't happen, and you were the one who brought it up, not me. Even Erika was confused. She said, Denise, what are you talking about? And it really pains me to say this, but it's very clear that Denise is not cut out to be on reality television, at least not on The Real Housewives, because she just can't handle it. She's incoherent, she has yet to make a point, and it's embarrassing to watch. Denise, I say this with love, if you do decide to come back on, make sure that you have your reads already written down and prepared and go over them. And please do not drink before an argument, because obviously you are 3 sheets to the wind every time you try to confront somebody. And you end up making a fool of yourself, and we hate to see it. Erika low-key said how I was feeling. She said, you know what, Denise, I have nothing else for you. You can think what you want to think, feel how you want to feel, but please leave me alone. I'm done. And I say, yeah, I'm done too, because my girl is letting me down. Denise, you're over here giving us nothing but embarrassment. Did anybody else scream when they both drank their tea in silence and just looked at each other? I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. It was just so dramatic. So Erika says that she did not want to fight with Denise, and Denise says, yes, you did. You're just so condescending. You wanted this fight to deflect from what you have going on. So I guess Denise thought that she was reading Erika. She brings up Erika's case. She says, let's talk about how there was $20 million deposited in your account that you claim that you had no idea about. Of course, the whole room is even more silent. Garcelle was just like, aw, like, here we go. Because we know that in the past 2 seasons, Erika would curse anybody out who brought up the whole entire case. I was actually shocked that Erika didn't go off on her even more when she said that. She actually went easy on Denise. She says, Denise, that was proven untrue by the government, and you're a bit late. So at this point, the party's pretty much over. Everybody's heading out, but we still see Denise trying to pick at Erika even more. And I just said, Denise, I understand that your feelings are hurt. You took a massive L in front of everybody, the way Erika packed you up like that. But learn how to leave well enough alone. Because for you to say, Erika, you hit below the belt, I can't believe you. And Erika said, Denise, leave me alone. I ate you up at Kyle's house. I ate you up again now. You keep flopping. You keep taking L's. You're not going to win this. Just drop it. Now, Erika, that shade that you threw in your confessional when you said, don't come for me when you're out here on OnlyFans only selling for $7, I just said, but not too much, because weren't your tickets in Vegas selling for $7? Because say what you want, at one point, Denise Richards used to be A-list, and you've always been C-list at best. So Erika leaves the party, and now we see Kyle, Sutton, Denise, and Garcelle still talking. And Kyle says, I think that families and kids should be off limits in arguments. So Garcelle says, well, Kyle, why didn't you say that when Erika was right there? Why are you saying this now since she's gone? So now you have Kyle playing victim and getting defensive. And she's like, well, who stuck up for me last week at my house? You guys were all going around saying that my husband is cheating on me, and that's why I have a new wedding band on. Nobody stood up for me, so why should I stand up for anybody else? Kyle, let's go down the list of the many times you left your friends out to dry. You don't have anybody else's back. So why should anybody have your back? Kyle is somebody who wants this one-sided loyalty. She wants you to have her back. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, she'll just stand there while everybody else is getting on you. The way she's done Sutton, the way she did LVP, the way she's done various other cast members on this show, please stop playing victim like, oh my gosh, you guys just watched me at my dinner get grilled. Nobody stood up for me. Again, Kyle, you don't stick up for anybody else. So they're returning the same energy that you give. And Kyle, you literally could open up a school on how to be a professional victim because you have that down pat. And also, Kyle, we didn't forget how when Kim and Lisa Rinna got into it that season, especially when they had that argument in Amsterdam, you ran out the restaurant. You didn't even come to Kim's defense. So again, let's not with this, well, you guys didn't stick up for me. I loved how real Garcelle was. She said, well, honestly, I didn't stick up for Kyle that night because I have questions about her marriage too. This whole thing is weird. She keeps switching out her ring. Then this whole lifestyle change. She's always working out. It's a bit bizarre. I said, Garcelle, you don't have to explain anything to us. I get it. We see Crystal in her confessional, and she says that she feels like Erika took things too far and how you just can't say certain things like that about people's kids and families, and how she is a bit disappointed because she thought that Erika changed, but she's going back to her old ways. Now, like I said earlier on in this recap, you guys are fools if you really thought that Erika changed. This little rebrand that she's trying to debut is fake. She's only doing that to win back fans and to make sure that she still has a place on this show, and she still wants you guys to film with her because if nobody films with her, then you're off of this show and you're out of a job. So she's trying to play nice now just to keep this check. And Crystal, I want to ask you, how do you host a party and we forget that you're even there? I feel like we barely saw Crystal in any of these scenes for Taco Tuesday. It was all about Garcelle, Erika, Denise, and everybody else except for Crystal. It's evident that Bravo is trying to phase Crystal out, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is her last season. Now we jump to the next scene with Erika over at Dorit's house. So Dorit wants the whole rundown of what happened after she left the party abruptly, and so Erika fills her in that she got into it with Denise. Denise kept bringing up the same stuff from 4 years ago, and she ended up having to drag Denise by asking her who makes more money on OnlyFans, you or your daughter. So now Erika changes the topic and she wants to know what was going on between Dorit and Garcelle that things got so heated. Now, I was not surprised by Dorit's answer at all. It was to be expected. She's all dramatic. She's taking this long pause and she says that she feels like her and Garcelle keep making progress to go backwards and she feels blindsided. I said, wait, how do you feel blindsided when you're the one in the wrong? And Dorit, this is what Garcelle is talking about, where you just can't own up to the fact that you've been very ignorant in the past, and instead of apologizing and really trying to do better, here you are doubling down and now you're the victim and you're the one who has hurt feelings. It's infuriating. For you to say that you feel blindsided, how do you feel blindsided? Garcelle rightfully called you out and checked you about your ignorance. All Garcelle is asking you to do is to do better and just be respectful. Why is that so difficult? So Erika says in her confessional that she knows Dorit and how Dorit is not a malicious person. She has a great heart. And when Dorit knows better, she does better. Now, I want to ask you, Erika, when is Dorit going to do better? Because it's been 3 seasons now of Dorit showing her ass and putting her foot in her mouth and throwing out microaggressions towards Garcelle. When is the better coming? Because we're tired. It's been too many times. We have too many examples of her just completely showing out. So I really don't know if I agree about, well, when she knows better, she does better, because Dorit has yet to do better. But I did love when Erika said, look, Dorit, At the end of the day, you and Garcelle need to have a conversation immediately. And she does. There's no way around it. But now we see a parallel scene with Garcelle at home, and she's on FaceTime with Sutton. So Sutton says, "Hey girl, I really felt bad when I saw your face last night. I didn't like that." And Garcelle says, "Yeah, when she used that word attack, that was so triggering, it was so hurtful, and I went home and cried myself to sleep." And I want to pause for a minute because I saw people on Twitter really showing their behinds when Garcelle said that she cried herself to sleep. I saw some people saying, "Oh, she's just being dramatic, and I'm so tired of Garcelle race baiting. She's bringing this show down, and who cries over one word?" Let's just stop right now because the ignorance. And I'm aware that people don't like talking about race, but this is real life. And stuff like this really does happen. And I'm just going to be blunt. But if you're not black, if you're not a person of color, you wouldn't understand. It is hurtful when everybody else is able to express themselves how they feel. But when Garcelle does it, it's a problem. Now she's made to be the aggressor or the bully. That wears on you. And it doesn't matter that Garcelle is on TV or that she's famous. At the end of the day, she is a black woman. And there are double standards, unfortunately. And you are painted with this brush of you're angry or you're aggressive or you're mean because you express yourself and your feelings. Meanwhile, your white counterparts are able to say whatever they want. They're able to get angry, be loud, do whatever, and nobody bats an eye. So yeah, I understand why Garcelle cried because that is hurtful. And a lot of black women can relate to that. So how dare some of y'all on Twitter trying to say that Garcelle is pathetic and she should feel ashamed of herself to bring this show down, and who cries over that? Well, the fact that you've been okay with Kyle crying for 13 seasons about nothing, then surely you can allow Garcelle to cry and express herself. So Garcelle goes on to say that she didn't lunge at her, she didn't try to grab her, so for her to use that word was just super triggering. And then she goes on to add that Dorit is not trying to get to know her or understand her, and she enjoys living in her bubble. So Sutton agrees, and she goes on to add that Dorit does want to live in her bubble, and how when you use certain words, it brings up that angry black woman trope. And Garcelle says, exactly. If you've been watching me for quite some time, you know that I was on the fence about Sutton for quite some time. And I feel like Sutton is trying to do a better job in educating herself. And Dorit, that's what I want to see from you. Now, you guys already know that I have quite a lot to say about this next scene. Because when it comes to Kyle and her sisters and their whole dynamic and their upbringing, I am right there. And y'all already know that I read The House of Hilton last year. I did a whole live about it, FYI. But this conversation that they had was very telling. So anyhow, we see Kim over at Kyle's house, and Kim brings up how excited she is about her daughter Whitney's wedding. So she's joking around, asking Kyle if Kyle's going to bring somebody. And then she goes on to add that she really wants everybody who's there to be in a good place with everybody. And then she goes on to add that she's not trying to have anybody be at odds with anybody at her daughter's wedding. And of course, she's referring to her two sisters being on the outs, Kyle and Kathy. So Kyle's a bit taken aback, and she's like, well, what does that mean? And Kim says, look, I just don't want anybody at my daughter's wedding with any animosity towards anybody else. So now Kyle brings up that she can be at peace with her sister, she can be cordial, even if they aren't speaking. And then she goes on to add that she did see Kathy recently at Elton John's Oscar party. They took a picture together, they were fine, but obviously they're not really on speaking terms, but they are cordial, hello and goodbye. So Kim keeps pressing the issue, and Kyle's like, girl, let me stop you right there. You don't know the full story, and bottom line, I refuse to be mistreated. Kathy has always talked to me poorly ever since we were little kids, and I didn't like it. Now, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I did read The House of Hilton. Their upbringing was chaotic, to say the least, and their mother, Big Kathy, was a character. And I'm putting that nicely. So I wasn't surprised that Kyle said, Kathy's always been this way. She's always talked to me poorly. I don't like it. I'm a grown-ass woman, and I will not tolerate her mistreatment. While I have my gripes with Kyle, I totally understand that. And if you did read The House of Hilton, the author detailed that Kathy Hilton was just like their mother, Big Kathy, personality-wise. She honestly is like the same person. So I'm not surprised that Kyle has resentment and doesn't like how Kathy talks to her, because Kathy was pretty much molded by their mother to be the same exact way. And it really trips me out that Kyle allowed this behavior for so long, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care who you are not going to talk to me crazy. That's just not happening. And if I were Kyle, I would have dealt with that a long time ago. I would have checked Kathy like, girl, you might be the older sister, but you will give me respect. So Kyle goes on to say that while she did want to accept Kathy's apology last year when the whole Aspen drama went down, she realized that Kathy really isn't sorry. Now, we know that all three of the sisters are very hush-hush when it comes to details about their childhood and their mom. They don't want to paint their mom in a bad light, despite all the rumors about their mother and the stories about her in the book. But I thought it was telling when Kyle said that her childhood was chaotic, there were a lot of big personalities in the house, and that their mom had a very fiery Aries temper. And I said, now, Kyle, I'm reading between the lines, and I'm picking up what you're not saying. Because you're trying to make it sound cute, like, oh, my mom was just feisty, but that's not really the case. But it does show you that Kyle's upbringing did affect her, because when she said that the reason why her house now, there's no arguing, no fighting, it's just peaceful and calm, because she grew up in the complete opposite manner, that shows you right there that things weren't right, that it was a bunch of dysfunction. I also found it interesting when Kim started crying and she said, I miss Mom. Mom never wanted this for us. She always wanted us to be close. It was always family over everything. And I just feel like, from what I read, the way their dynamic was set up, it was almost set up in a way where their mom favored whoever was making the most money, whoever was the richest. Because remember that Kim and Kyle were both child actresses. So the way the book framed it, it was like Big Kathy favored whichever child was bringing in the most notoriety and the most money. So in that dynamic, can you really cultivate a close relationship with your siblings if your mom is low-key pitting you against each other? So I just feel like they didn't really have the tools to ever be this close-knit sisterhood. And again, as much as they try to act like everything was great growing up, they definitely tell on themselves. And Kim told on herself when she said, do you think that Mom knew that I was angry at her for all those years? Honestly and truthfully, I think that in order for them to break this toxic cycle of them always falling out with each other, they all need to sit down with a counselor or a therapist and get some help and really unpack what happened in their childhood. Because I feel like if they can break through all that trauma, they'll finally be able to be at peace and just have a healthy relationship. Because it seems like every other year, somebody's always on the outs. Think about it. It's either Kim and Kyle getting along and then Kathy and Kyle aren't talking, or it's Kim and Kyle getting along and then Kim and Kathy aren't talking. Then you have Kathy and Kyle getting along, but then Kim and Kyle aren't talking. Or then sometimes you'll have 2 against 1 where you had Kyle not speaking to Kim or Kathy for a number of years. It's just a mess. And I even said on Twitter while the episode was airing that I'm exhausted because I can't keep watching this season after season where they're always on the outs with each other, crying about the past, crying about them falling out again. Either get some help or love each other from a distance. Just my humble opinion. So now we jump to a short scene with Crystal at home, and she's celebrating Passover with her family, and I thought it was so cute. Her kids are adorable, and that food looks so good. So anyhow, we see Crystal telling Rob about all the drama that went down at Taco Tuesday, and how she was a bit irritated because all the ladies kept telling her that she needs to engage more and stop being so quiet, speak up for herself, and stop being so passive. So now Bravo plays us an unseen clip of Taco Tuesday, and it's the clip that we kept seeing in the trailer where Crystal says, "You guys always want me to scream." Now, Bravo, I don't know why you guys cut that out, especially since you teased it in that trailer every single time we saw it. I hate when y'all do that. And again, it's evident that you guys are trying to cut Crystal's scenes out for whatever reason. And it's pointing to y'all don't want her to come back for next season. So now Rob says that that's not true and that Crystal has strong opinions that she's not afraid to voice. And then he goes on to add that she just needs to find a way to speak up in the group. Now, personally, I feel like Crystal just isn't a great fit for this show. And that's not me being shady, but I just don't think that Crystal has the temperament or the mental bandwidth to be on a show where it's always drama. I just feel like Crystal gets rattled very easily. And listen, everybody's not cut out for drama 24/7 where you always have to be on guard, you always have to worry about somebody coming for you or shading you, you always have to have some reads already prepared in your head. That does get tiring. And I just don't think that Crystal has what it takes. And again, that's all right. So now Crystal brings up another point of aggravation, and that's the fact that everybody in this group is getting even skinnier. So she goes on to say that it's hard to concentrate on what they're saying because she's focusing in on their bodies, how skinny they are, and then she starts comparing her body to theirs. Now, I have to admit, I really did feel bad hearing that, because we all know that Crystal has struggled with an eating disorder, and I would hate for her to slip back into old habits because she's now triggered over how her castmates look. Now, when Crystal changed the topic and brought up her brother and how she feels like he has resentment towards her, I forgot all about this storyline, so I was lost. And again, it's no shade, but it's just feeling like they really don't want Crystal to be on this show because we're not really getting any scenes with her this season. And this brother storyline, do we even care? And again, it's no shade, but I was just like, what are we talking about? Why is she bringing up her brother? What happened? And before anybody thinks that I'm just being super hard on Crystal, I'm not. I'm just calling it the way I see it. I met Crystal at BravoCon. She was very sweet. She's pretty, lovely in person, very nice. But I just don't think that she's cut out to be a full-time Real Housewife. I absolutely love this short scene with Sutton on her date. This new guy, Steve, I think that he's a winner. I love how they bonded over karaoke and true crime documentaries. The conversation was flowing, and Sutton looked so good. She had on a cute outfit, a cute little white blazer. The hair was blown out. I said, Sutton, this is what we want to see. Leave those kitty cat sweaters behind. And also, her date was cute. He was fun. He was tall. He was a gentleman. And it really was so adorable. When he asked for Sutton's number, he said, oh, I would love to see you again and talk to you again. And Sutton was like, oh, like, okay, sure. I said, go Sutton, I'm rooting for you. I hope that it works out. Steve is cute. I think that you guys make a great match. And Sutton, the fact that you almost passed up on him because you didn't like his job, I think Alessandra said earlier on in the episode that he was a VP of sales, and Sutton was like, oh, I don't like that. Like, what does that mean? Like, what kind of job is that? And Alessandra said, girl, it's a job. And Sutton, if he's a vice president, then surely he's making a nice coin. So I think that you should be just fine. But I just said, I hope that it works out between you guys because he's cute, he's nice, and he does not seem like a mama's boy like that other date from last week. And one more thing. A few of y'all were in the comments in my last recap talking about, oh, you are so judgmental to say that Sal is a mama's boy. He just loves his mom. Listen, there's a difference between a man who has a healthy relationship with his mom and a complete mama's boy. And unfortunately, Sal was the latter. Because when Bravo played that flashback of Sutton on that date with Sal, every single story out of his mouth was about him and his mom. And I'm sorry, but no thank you, I'll pass.
No.
So now we get to the final scene of the episode, and it is the big sit-down lunch with Dorit and Garcelle. Dorit arrives to the restaurant first, and Garcelle shows up a few minutes later. Now, you could already feel the tension. Garcelle was not excited to be there at all. I just said, I already know that this lunch is about to go left because Garcelle is not having it. Dorit's asking Garcelle if they want to look at the menu and order their food, and Garcelle's like, no. I was just like, damn, Garcelle. I mean, I understand that you're pissed, but you are at this restaurant. You might as well look at the menu and order something. So it's super awkward at this point. And now Dorit says, look, Garcelle, I want you to have the floor. I want you to open up the conversation and say what you have to say, especially since you always say that I don't listen to you. I want you to just speak uninterrupted and just get whatever you have to say off of your chest. So Garcelle says, thank you, Dorit. I appreciate that. The other night when you used that word attack, that hit me in the worst place. And when you use certain words directed at me, they're going to have a different impact. She goes on to add that Dorit has to be aware about who she's talking to and that there are 3 words that you just shouldn't say to Black women, and they're attack, angry, and aggressive. So Dorit's nodding, and it looks like she actually is grasping what Garcelle is saying. So I'm like, okay, maybe there is some hope that Dorit is finally listening and finally gets it. Instead of Dorit just saying, you know what, Garcelle, thank you for educating me, I'm sorry, Dorit goes on to say, but Garcelle, we've all used that word attack in this group. It's not just me saying that to you, we've all said it to each other. And yes, they did play the flashbacks of when Dorit said it to, I think, Sutton, and Kyle said it to Erika. Yes, they have said it to each other. I'm not going to deny that. But 2 things can be true at the same time. Dorit, while that word has been used in this group a million times, it still does not take away that it hits differently when it's used to talk about a Black woman. White women calling each other aggressive or saying that they attacked each other is one thing, but when a white woman says that a Black woman attacked them, people's minds immediately flip to something else. So you have to be careful with your words. And I just feel like with you, there's always this going around having to give an apology. Like, this conversation could have gone a lot smoother, in my opinion, had you just owned up to it immediately. You guys could have moved on. But this conversation went on longer than it should have because you just didn't want to get it. Also, Dorit, an apology is, I'm sorry. It's not, if I did this, then I'm sorry. When you went on to say, if I offended you in any way, and when Garcelle snapped at you and said, it's not a matter of if you did offend me, I just said, Dorit, help yourself out by just giving a sincere apology. How hard is that? So now Garcelle goes on to say that she cried about it for 2 days. And I saw folks on Twitter laughing at Garcelle saying, oh, I don't believe that. That's BS. Who cries for 2 days about that? I just want to know, why all this hate for Garcelle all of a sudden? I'm not saying that you have to like Garcelle, but at least respect her feelings. I feel like Garcelle has every right to get this off of her chest. I was irritated watching Dorit throw that word out. So if I felt irritated, I can only imagine how annoyed Garcelle was, and that is hurtful. And there are a bunch of black women who can relate to trying to make your point, and now you're being gaslit and called aggressive, saying that you attack somebody when all you're doing is stating your opinion or your feelings in a very calm manner. And Dorit has thrown out microaggressions. We can't deny it. This isn't about race baiting or trying to get sympathy. It's about calling out some questionable behavior and nipping it in the bud. Period, point blank. So now Garcelle says that she does feel like Dorit said it with bad intentions. Now, do I think that Dorit in that moment used the word attacked with bad intentions towards Garcelle? I don't think that she had bad intentions, but I do feel like Dorit is ignorant and does not think before she speaks. And I feel like that's what Garcelle was trying to say, but she probably just said, yeah, I think that you said it with bad intentions because, one, she's really irritated with Dorit since Dorit has said some really questionable things and Karen-like things in the past, and also because she doesn't like Dorit, she wants to say it was with bad intentions. But I think that Garcelle probably just feels like Dorit doesn't think before she speaks. Because I believe that if Garcelle truly thought that Dorit was racist, she wouldn't even have met with her at this lunch. So Dorit is absolutely shocked and appalled that Garcelle would even say such a thing. And she's like, Garcelle, really? You really believe that I said that with bad intentions? Are you serious? And Garcelle says, yeah, because why else would you say it? So now Dorit gets defensive and she says, I need to be able to defend myself, Garcelle. And then she goes on to say that what Garcelle is implying is not only wrong, but it's extremely hurtful. So Garcelle says, look, Dorit, I think that there's a pattern with you, and I'm going to be blunt. There's some unconscious Karen behavior when it comes to you. And now she brings up the whole incident from 2 years ago when they were all talking on one of their cast trips, and Dorit was discussing how her kids do see people of color because they have a lot of black and brown people who work for them. And Garcelle called her out. And then Dorit got upset and said, oh my gosh, Garcelle, my mom's best friend is black. And Dorit, you have to realize that, yes, there is a pattern with you. And when you called her a bully, that was very offensive. And that was a microaggression. You've just had this weird pattern of saying things that you shouldn't say when it comes to Garcelle. So Dorit is really on edge. She says that this accusation has some serious implications, and she feels like Garcelle is painting her out to be a racist. So Garcelle says, no, I'm not labeling you. That's not what I said. But if there are racist undertones, that's your fault. This conversation went on a lot longer than it needed to, in my opinion. I just felt like, where is the apology? And can we move on from this, please? Because they were just saying the same thing at this point. So now Dorit says, Garcelle, you do know that I'm Jewish, right? And Garcelle says, okay, and what does that have to do with anything? And Dorit says, because the other night you reduced me to a life of privilege. So Garcelle goes on to say, Dorit, you claim to be a citizen of the world, you speak 4 languages, and if you're so cultured, I just don't understand, why can't you realize that being in my shoes is completely different from being in your shoes? So Dorit says, I understand that. I would never try to compare your experience to mine. All I was trying to say is that we're both 2 women from marginalized groups, and I feel like we should have more in common. And listen, nobody is denying that both groups have experienced discrimination. Nobody's saying that. All Garcelle is trying to say is that when you use certain words, they are going to be triggering as a Black woman. And I would like for you to stop using those words when you're talking to me. Period. The end. I just feel like, why do we have to have this long, drawn-out conversation for Dorit to realize what Garcelle is trying to explain to her? Now, Garcelle, here's where I have to call you out, because you were being petty when Dorit kept calling your name, and you said, why do you keep saying my name so much? And I just said, Garcelle, that's nothing to get upset about. That's not a big deal at all. Now you're just being petty, and now you're doing a bit too much. So the conversation is winding down, and Garcelle says, Dorit, you've been getting under my skin, and the way that you say things, that really bothers me. Then she goes on to say, I don't know how we'll move forward, but I don't hate you, and I think that we'll be okay. And Dorit finally apologizes for using the word attack, and then she goes on to say in her confessional that today was a learning lesson, and moving forward, she'll be more aware of what she says. And I said, thank you, Dorit. That's all we wanted to hear. And Dorit, I'm going to tell you just like this. Going forward, I don't want there to be any more conversation about any microaggressions. This better be it. The next time you get into an argument with Garcelle, it better be about something else and not about microaggressions or Karen behavior. Let it be because you and Garcelle got into it and you read her or she read you, but don't let it be because of ignorance. But y'all, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys thought. That was my recap. Thank you all so much for watching. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.